Hey guys, welcome into another live Facebook show. I'm also known as the amazing shrinking vegan fat guy. So I went vegan back in 2014, May of 2014. I actually went 100% raw vegan at the time. Completely changed my life, and I did that in part due to a health journey with my mother. She was diagnosed with ovarian cancer at the time, and so, you know, researching diet and health and things, we just arrived at a vegan diet. And of course, I'd been researching it for years, and then we started the website a little bit later. Do you take supplements? Noel. Hey Noel, thanks for the question. Absolutely. Anybody who's a vegan and they adhere strictly to the vegan diet should absolutely take B12 supplement. You should, of course, get tested with your doctor. I like to go every 3 months and just have my blood panel in general if you can afford it. But you definitely need to take a B12 supplement. Now, vitamin D3 is something else maybe you should consider, whether you're an omnivore or a vegan. Anybody that lives south of Atlanta in the United States probably is not getting enough sun. That's how your body produces vitamin D. Vitamin D3 is the vegan version of vitamin D if you want to consider taking that. And there's a whole lot of health implications if you don't get enough vitamin D, so I would consider that. And the other two that some people have problems with is iron and calcium, but most people don't. So again, I wouldn't just take stuff for the heck of it. You know, try to have a blood test when you can. Jamie Kennerson, what's your favorite vegan food? Potatoes. I'm obsessed with the potatoes right now. I'm on the Starch solution, which is helping me lose weight. There's a great book called The Starch Solution by Dr. John McDougall. I highly recommend it. And I eat more potatoes than probably any person alive. Do you take a probiotic? That's from Nathan. I tell you what, Nathan, I don't generally take a probiotic because if you're eating a whole food plant-based diet, you should be feeding your microbiome with what those little gut bugs live off of, and that's fiber. So if you're eating a mostly whole food plant-based diet, which includes your your non-starchy vegetables, your green leafy vegetables, and then of course all your starches, your rices, your potatoes, your beans, your lentils, your corns, you should be feeding those gut bugs all the stuff they need to thrive. That being said, I will occasionally have to take an antibiotic. I'm fighting rosacea right now, so I'm taking an antibiotic for that. And when you're taking antibiotics, you definitely want to be hitting those probiotics because antibiotics kill all the bugs, the good ones and the bad ones. And the probiotics help you keep the good gut bugs alive. And most people don't know this, but 70% of your immune system comes from your gut. 70%. You know, you may need a probiotic, Nathan, but I'll tell you this. If you're having, and we're going to get a little on the negative side here, so hang in with me. Nathan, if you're having bowel movements that aren't nice and soft and a couple of times a day, then you may need a probiotic. So back to losing it's actually, I'm at 58 pounds. But going back to losing that weight since January, it's about 60 pounds in 8 months, which has been remarkable. It's been primarily based off the Starch solution. I didn't start on the Starch solution originally. I was just eating, you know, what I did was I cleaned up a lot of my junk food vegan out and just went whole food vegan again like I did when I first started. And the weight loss started, and then I decided to try the Starch solution, and I haven't turned back since then. I could eat potatoes for breakfast, lunch, dinner, midnight snacks, 3 in the morning. I don't care. I can eat potatoes anytime. So the Starch solution works well for me, and I really love the rice too. I have a rice cooker. If you like rice and you don't have a rice cooker, man, are you missing out? I think I paid like 25 bucks for mine on Amazon. But it's great. You can do the rice in there, and then it has the steam basket on top. And steam some vegetables same time you're cooking the rice. What I love to do is take some brown rice, but you can do white rice. I love to steam that brown rice in there, and then steam me some broccoli and some mushrooms, broccoli and mushrooms in the steamer. And then I like to cook up some corn. And then that rice comes out. You take that rice while it's nice and light and fluffy, and you take that rice and you put a big bed of it on your plate. And then you take that corn and you just pour that corn over the top of the rice. And then you take those steamed vegetables, broccoli being the main thing, but you can do other things if you want. Cauliflower, oh, squash is good, steamed squash. And pile that on top of the rice, and so you have this bed of rice covered with this bed of corn, which is covered with this steamed vegetables, and God, it's a meal. And the whole thing may be 500 calories, but I promise you, I pile my plate up like this, like a plate is like this, and it may be 500 calories max. But it's funny about people who say, oh, I'm a manly man. I like to eat meat, and I like to eat beef, and I like to eat all this manly food because I like to get full. I'm like, man, I'll tell you what. You try putting down a plate of this rice meal that I have right here and then come back and tell me how much your cheeseburger is. Your cheeseburger ain't nothing. You're going to eat it, and an hour later you're going to be starving. You eat this rice plate that I make, I promise you, it's only 500 calories. Now, let's just take, for example, we were talking about McDonald's earlier, and these people that are like, oh, I'm manly, I got to eat manly food. Let's just say their biggest, heartiest burger they have at McDonald's for the meat eaters, if there happen to be any meat eaters watching. You take that double quarter pounder with cheese meal, you take you a fry, medium fry, get you a drink, medium Coke or whatever, you're going at about 1,250 or 1,300 calories in that one meal. 1,250 or 1,300 in one meal. So you have that, and I'm going to have my big plate of rice, big honking plate of rice covered with some corn, covered with some steamed vegetables. It's going to be about 500 calories, and I won't even be able to eat it. I won't even be able to eat all of it. I dare you. And I won't be hungry for 4 hours. You'll be starving in an hour. You'll be consumed all kind of animal products, and you'll be fat. I'm sorry, and I mean that in a nice way. At which meal do you have the most calories? Well, Cassandra, I really only eat about 2 meals a day. I start with fruit usually. Watermelon continues to be my passion, but sometimes it's bananas, sometimes it's honeydew, sometimes it's mango. But I like to start my day with fruit. It flushes the system. About an hour after I eat that watermelon or whatever the fruit is, the system moves and things are running smoothly, and then later in the day I'll have a big, big meal. But it's 1 or 2 meals. It depends on what I eat. If I eat less calorie dense meals, then it'll just be 1 meal. If it's more calorie dense, I may eat 2. I'll tell you 2 things that to tell you about 2 things that you may be interested in if you're interested in the weight loss aspect of it. And again, I've lost about 60 pounds since January, so about 60 pounds in 8 months, and I eat more food than anybody I know. I eat more food now than I did when I was gaining weight every month, back when I was so fat. I eat more food now, and I'm losing right now, I'm losing about 2 pounds a week. I'm eating more food now than I did when I used to gain weight every week. That's the power of plant-based vegan eating. So there's a spreadsheet that I use. I don't necessarily have to use it, but I like to keep track of my calories because people ask me. And for some people who are trying to get a gauge on what kind of calories they eat and stuff, maybe you eat more of a junk food vegan diet than a whole food diet, then you definitely need to keep track of your calories. This spreadsheet will help you immensely, and it's free, and I even give you a video on how to use it if you want to check that out. Just go to veryveganrecipes.com/sheet. veryveganrecipes.com/sheet. You can get that sheet if you like it. Do I intermittent fast? I was intermittent fasting when I started. I don't really think of it that way now, but I do confine my eating to 8 hours. I don't think anybody should be eating all day. So, one, you feel better. And if you are an intermittent faster, you know that you just feel better when you don't eat all day. When you wake up and you wait till lunch to eat, which is what I do, and since I'm self-employed and I work from home, my mornings don't generally start as easy as everybody else's. So sometimes I'll get up at 7, sometimes I'll get 8, sometimes I'll get up at 9. And so depending on when that is, I may start eating it at noon, I may start eating at 1, I may start eating at 2. But I never eat past 8. So depending on when I start is what my window is. So it's anywhere from usually from 6 hours to 8 hours typically. But you feel so good. Once you get used to doing that, you're not weighted down in the morning, you're not sluggish. Like I said, I start my day with watermelon, and that watermelon doesn't bog you down. Your energy goes through the roof. Is it a bad idea to lower the amount of calories you're eating if your weight loss stalls? It depends on how long it stalls, Cassandra. I went through a 3-week plateau recently, and I didn't really change anything because I knew that I was eating at a caloric deficit. That's the one thing the spreadsheet I told you about will help you with. When you put your calories in it every day and your weight every day, and you need to do it every day, it will tell you how many calories you're burning every day and how many you need to eat. So you'll know exactly how many calories you need to eat. How much do you exercise? Well, I do a couple of things. I was going to the track every day. I injured myself a couple of times because I'm a guy who likes to get ahead of myself, and I'd moved to jogging and running when I really should have stuck with walking. So Cassandra, I highly recommend you download that sheet. It'll tell you exactly how many calories you're using every day, and so thereby you know how many calories you need to eat. So if you know you're eating the right amount of calories and the weight isn't falling off, then just stick with it, because your body will freak out sometimes. It'll go, whoa, 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 whoa. We're dropping way too much weight. I'm going to hang out right here. And your body will do that because it's smart. Remember, your body is designed to survive. But now once your body gets comfortable and it goes, all right, I see what's going on. Everything is fine. We're not going to starve. Then it'll start releasing weight again. But sometimes you've reduced your calories enough to lose weight. And once you've reduced your calories enough to lose weight, when your weight comes down to meet that level, then you're not going to lose anymore. Because you only dropped your calories enough. Let's say your weight was up here and you were eating calories up here. So you dropped your weight, you dropped your calories to here. So your weight will eventually come down and it'll hit that level of calories, and then that's what's going to sustain you. So in that instance, yeah, you got to drop your calories more. But sometimes in the short term, you will hit plateaus. It's really good if you know how many calories you're burning. What's your favorite protein? Lauren Bryan says. I get my protein from plants primarily. I'll tell you the one thing that I do eat that is not whole food plant-based, but just first let me say most of my protein comes from potatoes. Potatoes have they're one of the highest proteins of the plant kingdom. And I eat most of my diet is potatoes most days. I love potatoes. So most of my protein comes from that. But I'll tell you something I really love, and it's certified vegan, and it's the Light Life brand, Lightlife, the Light Life brand beefy crumbles, I think it's called. It's by far my favorite fake meat, and I don't eat a lot of fake meat, but I will occasionally eat that when I have a craving for it. And the thing that's great about it is there's no fat. And if you go look at your Beyond Meats and your Gardein beefy crumbles and some of the other name brand beefy crumbles, they're all loaded with fat. And to me, they don't taste nearly as good. This one is great in pastas. Like I'll make vegan pasta with red sauce. And I generally I'll either buy a low-fat, no-oil spaghetti sauce that's vegan, or you can just make your own, which is really easy. And then get you some whole grain pasta, whole wheat's what I prefer. And then you can take that Light Life certified vegan beefy crumbles and put it in there and serve it to your meat-eating friends. They won't know the difference. They will not know the difference. It is so good. But that Light Life vegan beef crumbles, which has 0 fat, makes the best sloppy joes. You can feed that to your kids. Feed them some sloppy joe sandwiches and take you some potatoes and slice them up into wedges and do them in the oven so you have those crispy potato wedges. Feed that to your kids. They'll flip out. Your kids will flip out. Have you ever eaten something that wasn't vegan by accident? I bought this bread the other day. Had a V on it. Blah, blah, blah. Actually, Elaine, that happened to me today. That actually happened to me today. I buy this bread, and I don't eat a lot of bread, but I was really craving a sandwich today. I was wanting a sandwich so bad, and I just don't eat many sandwiches. But speaking of the sloppy joes, I decided to make that today. It's funny, it ties in. So I didn't have any bread. I haven't had any bread in the house in weeks. I haven't eaten bread in 4 or 5 or 6 weeks or something. So I had to go buy bread. Normally the bread I buy, I think it has something like 60 calories a slice, and it's whole wheat bread, and it's vegan. And I always buy it. I always buy it. I always buy it. Well, today I saw the Pepperidge Farm super thin slices. They were super thin. I don't know if you've seen them. They only have like 35 calories a slice or something. As a matter of fact, they're so small, the serving size on the back says 3 pieces. Instead of 2 pieces of bread, 3 pieces is a serving. That's how tiny they are. So I'm like, you know what? I don't like that much bread. I'm just going to get this little tiny bread, and I'll bring that home and eat it. Well, I didn't even think about looking at the ingredients list, and I think it's because I thought that I had eaten it before. You know, you think you've eaten something before and it's vegan, and so you see it and you're like, oh yeah, that's vegan, I've eaten that before. So I just wasn't thinking what I didn't realize was I haven't eaten that bread since before I went vegan. I used to eat it way back before I was vegan, and that's what I was thinking about. Nevertheless, I made the sandwich today, and I ate it. And the whole time I was eating it, I was like, you know what? It's 10 calories different. Why didn't I just get the bread I always get? That's what I was sitting there thinking. I got this little bitty, tiny, thin bread. It's frustrating me. It's like, there's nothing to it. I'm like, why am I eating this? What is wrong with me? There's nothing wrong with whole grains anyway. They're not unhealthy. They don't affect your weight loss in an adverse way. And you need whole grains. So why am I eating this little tiny piece of nothing? So it's frustrating me to no end. So when I got through eating, I went back to the kitchen and I wanted to look at the calories again and just compare and see how many calories I was saving by eating this little piece of nothing. And I looked at the ingredients list on the back of this bag of bread, Elaine. And I think like the fourth ingredient was something from milk. It wasn't milk, but it was something from milk. And I like to freak out. I'm like, what are you doing, man? You know you can't eat stuff without looking at the ingredients list. That's rule number one. You got to look at the ingredient list. So I learned a lesson today. It's a lesson I've already known. Look, I think the important thing about being vegan is having the best of intentions. If you have the best of intentions and you do the best you can, occasionally something may go awry because we're human and we're not perfect. So you have to cut yourself some slack. Do you pay much attention to complete and incomplete proteins? No, Cassandra, that's a complete line of hogwash fed to you by the meat and dairy industry. They make you think that you have to, look, there's nine amino acids that your body doesn't make, and they're called essential. The body takes amino acids and it forms them together in chains to make protein. Okay, so this is how we'll do a little class on how protein works, and for anybody that's watching that doesn't know. So your body takes these little chains of amino acids, and again, I think there's 23 in total that the body uses. Don't quote me on that, but that's about right. It's about 23 amino acids. And your body stitches them together and forms them into protein. Okay? So then it's able to use it. Well, 9 of those you can't get, your body doesn't make. 9 of those 23 your body doesn't make it, and that's why they're called essential. Anytime you see something that's essential, it means your body doesn't make it, because most of the things your body needs it makes, or it can make. There's 9 essential proteins that your body can't make, so you have to eat them. But what the meat industry and modern health gurus want you to think is that you have to get all 9 of them in one piece of food. Oh, if your little piece of food doesn't have all 9 of them, well, you're screwed. You can't make protein. And that's complete hogwash for a couple of reasons. One, your body will hang on and maintain a certain amino acid if it doesn't need it right now. So let's say you're knitting a quilt, or you're knitting something, and you're taking this yarn and this yarn and this yarn, and you don't need the red yarn right now. Or let's say you need red and blue to make purple, right? So I want a piece of purple, but I need red and blue to combine. But I don't have any blue yet. I got red. Well, your body will just take the red and hang on to it. Let's say red comes from, I'm just going to throw foods out there. These aren't right. I'm just using them as an example. Let's say the red yarn comes from peppers. So let's say you get red yarn from peppers, and you've eaten peppers recently. Let's say you can get the blue yarn. Let's say blue yarn comes from kale. Okay? You haven't had any kale in a while. But you're going to have kale at some point. You'll have it tomorrow. So when you eat the kale, you'll get the blue yarn, and once you do, your body will go back and grab that red yarn that you ate 3 days ago, and it'll use it to make that chain of protein that it needs to make. The point being is you do need all 9 essential amino acids for your body to form protein, but you don't have to eat them all in one food. You can get this amino acid from kale, you can get this amino acid from potato, this amino acid over here may come from oranges, this one over here may come from quinoa, or, if you eat a variety of a diet, you're going to be fine. And rarely, if ever, add sugar to anything. But today, I mentioned I wanted to make sandwiches today, right? And I'm a mayonnaise eater. Now, I know a lot of people get disgusted at mayonnaise. I'm raised in the South. Mayonnaise is one of the 9 essential nutrients in the South. If you live in the South and don't eat mayonnaise, something's wrong with you. We're all raised on it. And you got to have it on your sandwich. I see a lot of thumbs up for you got to have mayonnaise. So I googled starch solution tofu mayonnaise is what I did. That's exactly what I did today. And I found a really easy tofu mayonnaise recipe. And one of the ingredients was sugar. And I don't buy sugar. If I do eat sugar, I eat organic coconut sugar. So that way you know it's vegan. And boy, I'm going to tell you, this mayonnaise is phenomenal. And if you are a fan of mayonnaise and you don't want all those oils and stuff, see, I don't eat oils either. That's part of the starch solution. I don't eat added oils, things like that. Kelly, absolutely. Just Mayo from Hampton Creek is phenomenal, but it's very fattening. It's all fat, just like all of the Mayos. It's just vegan. So if you're on a diet like me, that's very important. And so I don't eat fat, or I eat the minimum amount of fat possible. So that's why I don't eat the Just Mayo. But I love it, and I wholeheartedly give it a thumbs up. I'm just not eating it because of weight loss reasons. So this tofu mayonnaise is phenomenal. It's I just bought some silken tofu, organic silken tofu, one package of it. To that, I added 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. I added about, I think, a half a tablespoon of mustard powder. I added 2 tablespoons of sugar. I added 3 tablespoons of lemon juice. And I think that was it. And I just put it in my Vitamix on real slow and blended it. So I think that's kind of a good way to kind of wind this down, to really let you know that you shouldn't take anything I say as being the gospel. I by no means the most brilliant person ever or most educated person ever on vegan and health and nutrition, but I can tell you this: I've studied it as much as any regular person has. Make yourself a priority, make the planet a priority, and make the animals a priority. If you do those 3 things, you will lose weight. I promise you, you will lose weight.